Hey, Chris here from Forge Valley Roasters, and today I'm going to break down the costs of one of our single origin Brazil 250 gram bags of coffee. The purpose of this is to show you what goes into pricing our products and what you might need to think about if you're pricing your own or if you're just interested in getting started in a retail business. If this is your first time visiting the channel, the intent is to share education, insight, excitement about the coffee roasting process. So if you're here for it, if you like that, if it excites you, give us a like. Even better, give us a subscribe. That tells me that this is good content and that you're interested in it. And if you've got time, maybe even leave a comment and tell me how you're getting on in your journey, what you're interested in, what you'd like to know about next. And that's the direction of the channel that we'll go in. The first thing I need to explain about how we price our coffee is that the margin changes based on how much coffee we sell in a month. And a good example of that is insurance costs. So if you're just starting your business, you're thinking about it, one of the first things you're going to need to do is get insurance. We had to tell our home insurance company, because we run the roastery on our premises, on our residential premises, we had to tell our home insurance company that we're going to do that. They asked some questions about risks and fires and so on, but ultimately they said it was fine, and they increased our premium by a few quid a month and said you're good to go. However, we still needed to get business insurance. We used a business insurance broker, and you can just Google that and find plenty of companies that will help you. They basically charge a commission to the insurer that you choose, and that's how they get funded. But the result, when you don't know what you're doing, like we were in our case, is we got a whole load of options that were very clearly laid out and some guidance from the broker about what we needed to think about and things we were missing. So it was well worth the service. Based on 100 bags of coffee per month, our insurance would cost 60p per bag of coffee sold. At 400 bags of coffee sold per month, our business insurance would only be 15p per bag of coffee sold. So you can see it's quite a big difference in cost when you're not selling so much versus selling a reasonable amount of coffee. The next cost is labor. We don't take salary out of the business as we're still growing it. However, we price labor into our margin calculations so that when the time is right and we want to take on staff, that we've already accounted for that cost within pricing so that we don't have to increase it just because we're taking on staff or take a margin hit. So right now we estimate about £1.70 of labour cost per bag of coffee, and I worked out the amount of time roughly to roast coffee, to pack a bag, to stick a label on it, do the fulfillment and so on. It came out to about £1.70 per bag of coffee sold. Packaging is one of the highest costs of coffee. For us right now, that's about 45p per bag just on packaging. That includes the bag itself and then the labels on the front and the back. When we first got started, we just used brown recyclable paper bags, food grade, that we ordered on Amazon. They're fairly small stack of bags, so you don't get thousands that you've got to deal with, and they're perfectly effective and they do a great job. As we've expanded, we went online and we found similar or better bag that comes in a much larger volume and is therefore much cheaper per unit. And again, the more coffee you sell, the more stuff that you order, and therefore the price tends to go down. So as we grow the business, we would expect that packaging cost to gradually sink and get smaller and smaller and smaller. Advertising is about 39p per bag. So we don't have a physical shop that people can go and visit. As I say, it's on a residential property today. So advertising is so important. And if you're starting your own business, I really encourage you to look at that and think about what's most effective. We've tried Facebook, we've tried TikTok, and we've tried Google. We found the best results personally with Google because it puts us on the map, literally on Google Maps. And when people search for us or associate terms like coffee or roasting or coffee to drink and whatever else people search for, then we appear if they're close to us, if they're in the local radius. We get a preference, a boost up the Google search results. And that's been amazing. Google gives great analytics and it integrates with Shopify, which is our e-commerce and website provider, to tell us who's visiting. Sometimes it'll tell us like location or age demographics if they've got a Google profile or whatever, and that's really, really helpful. So that's about 39p per bag of coffee. Now again, that changes if we sell more coffee. Google, you pay per click, and that's similar to Facebook and others where you'll probably pay for the click on the advert as opposed to just a fixed rate every day or something. So we set a budget on our Google ads. I think we set a budget about £40 a month with Google. If we sell more coffee but we keep that budget the same, obviously that goes down as a percentage of the overall cost of the coffee. Web hosting, so we use Shopify. I probably need to do a separate video about Shopify and other services we use, why we chose Shopify, what we think about it, what we don't quite like about it. But for now, we'll just focus on the cost, and that's about 19p per bag of coffee sold. So that's the charge for having a web address, custom web address, and then the fees that Shopify charge us, and that's based on how big a business you are and so on. But we're on the smallest tier, being a relatively new business. E-commerce fees, again, another Shopify charge. So every time somebody buys a bag of coffee, Shopify will give them the transaction page and take their card details securely and so on. And they charge us a percentage of each transaction. So a £9.50 transaction for our Brazil single origin, that's 51p per bag of coffee. So a little bit more than the packaging actually. So again, quite expensive. So our overheads for a bag of coffee at 100 bags per month sits at about £3.84. Now considering that the coffee is £1.97, that's the green coffee cost, that leaves a margin or a profit of about £3.68, so 39% on £9.50 bag of coffee sold. If we do 400 bags of coffee per month, then that margin would grow to be 48% or £4.57. So you can see that we've tried to price the coffee based upon where we're going, not necessarily where we're at today. Now it's not that quite straightforward because like I say, we don't take a salary out, so arguably we're not actually losing the cost of labour, we've just priced it into the calculation so that we can reinvest that money until we do decide to bring somebody on or take a salary or something like that. But hopefully that helps and that gives you an idea of what goes into a bag of coffee and it's giving you some inspiration about how you might run your own business or price your own items, be it coffee or something else online. If you've liked this, then please give us a like, maybe even a subscribe if you want to see more, and leave us a comment as well. Tell us what you're worried about, what you're concerned about, what you'd like to hear about next, and I'm here for it. I'll try and answer any questions I can. All right, until next time.